I just finished the two classic books, The Summer Book by Tove Jansson and Caitlin Street by Magda Sabo. To be honest, neither of them was an easy read for me. They both were beautifully written, but they definitely took some time and focus to get through. So for my next book, I want to pick something a little lighter. I'm going to read The Year of Living Danishly by Helen Russell. I actually found this book completely by chance. I've always been interested in Denmark and the Danish culture, and this one seems like a fun and easy read. So I thought it would be the perfect choice. I also have a few other books on my TBR. One is Verity by Colin Hoover. It's a thriller and it's also being adapted into a movie. I recently watched the trailer, so now I'm even more curious to read this book. Another one is Say Nothing by Patrick Radden Keefe. His new book, London Falling, has also been getting a lot of attention. I haven't read any of his books yet, so I think Say Nothing will be a good start. If you have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your recommendations as well. So let's start with The Year of Living Danishly by Helen Russell. I'm about 10% into The Year of Living Danishly so far. Right now it feels a bit like a travel guide to Denmark, but there are also a lot of stories about the author and her husband. They moved from London to Denmark because her husband got a job at Lego, which is headquartered there. Throughout the book, she just calls him Lego Man, which I think is pretty funny. So far, they have just arrived in Denmark and they are already experiencing some culture shock. For example, it's January and they barely see anyone out on the streets. Another thing that surprised them was when they went to a small bakery to buy some bread. Instead of ordering right away, they had to get a numbered ticket from a machine first before they could buy anything. Overall, it's been a really light, easy read. If you are interested in Denmark or Danish culture, I think it's a fun way to learn about the country without feeling like you are reading a history book. I'm looking forward to reading more. I will keep you updated. I'm now 26% through the Year of Living Danishly. The book is organized by month, with each chapter following the author's experience after moving to Denmark. I'm currently in the March chapter. One of the things I've found most interesting so far is learning about work-life balance in Denmark. The book talks about policies and work culture that give people more freedom to choose jobs they enjoy and maintain a healthier balance between work and personal life. It's also been interesting to see how the author gradually adjusts from her stressful working life in London to the much more relaxed pace in Denmark. So far, the January chapter focuses on the couple's arrival in Denmark and the process of settling into their new life. The February chapter explored Danish work culture and why work-life balance is such an important part of everyday life there. I'm enjoying it so far. It feels light and easy to read. I will keep reading and share another update soon. I'm now 45% through the Year of Living Danishly. So far, the book mainly explores the cultural difference between London and Denmark through the author's everyday interactions with local people. I've learned about some interesting parts of Danish culture. For example, joining different clubs or community groups seems to be a normal part of life, and there are also surprisingly strict rules and traditions around the Danish flag. The book doesn't have a dramatic plot or lots of twists, so it may not be the most exciting read if you are looking for something fast-paced. That's kind of the point. It's an easy, relaxing book that I can pick up whenever I have some free time. And I enjoy learning these little details about Danish life along the way. I'm looking forward to reading more, and I will keep you updated. I actually took a short break from the Year of Living Danishly and finished another book instead. So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport. I don't usually read self-help books because I often feel that a lot of them promise more than they actually deliver. But I came across this book in the comments on a LinkedIn post, and the idea behind it caught my attention, so I decided to give it a try. The main argument of this book is that the common advice to follow your passion isn't always the best approach to building a successful career. Instead, Carl Newton argues that passion always comes after you have developed valuable skills. He calls these skills career capital. And the idea is that you build them gradually through something called deliberate practice. Deliberate practice means constantly pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone to improve your skills. The author uses his own experience as an example. While working toward becoming a professor after graduating from MIT, he set aside time every day to read difficult research papers, even when they were challenging to understand. He summarized each paper in a notebook and checked the number of hours he spent doing this focused practice. I thought this idea was really interesting. It reminded me improving at something isn't about waiting until you feel passionate. It's about consistently putting in the work and developing skills over time. Now that I have finished the so good they can't ignore you. I'm going to jump back to the Year of Living Danishly and see what else I can learn about Danish culture. I finished The Year of Living Danishly by Helen Russell yesterday. In the last few chapters, which cover October, November, and December, the author talks about what it's like to experience winter in Denmark. During that time of year, there is very little daylight, so it's easy to feel a bit down because of the lack of sunlight. Not just for people, but even for her dog. She tries different ways to cope, like using a sunlight lamp, lighting candles, and making sure to get outside whenever she can. Meanwhile, many Danish people seem to embrace the season by spending more time at home and creating a cozy atmosphere. The book also talks about Denmark's tax system. Although taxes are quite high, the author explains that they help fund things like healthcare, education, and other public services. As a result, wealth is distributed more evenly, and many Danish people trust that their taxes are being used to support society as a whole. The final chapter is about Christmas in Denmark. To be honest, I was really sleepy by the time I got there, so I skimmed read most of it. Overall, I think this is a great book if you are interested in Denmark or Danish culture. It's full of interesting observations about everyday life there. But if you are not particularly interested in the topic, you might find it a bit slow, and since there is no dramatic plot or big twists. Now that I've finished this book, it's time to choose my next read. I have a few books on my TBR. The first one is Verity by Colin Hoover. Another one is The Postcard by Anne Barrist. And also the third one, The Cost of Living by Deborah Levy. If you have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found a great book to read, and happy reading. I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Wanna clear a bottle of Cabernet. Wanna stay home, not even drink. Wanna get out of my own head. Wanna lay down, overthink. I wanna cry every tear I got. Put on a dress, be a stranger's dream. Lock up this heart of mine.